Welcome to the Skin Reset podcast. And today I'm very excited. I have a guest, Julie from Milliside Therapy and Coaching, and she's created a space for deep healing and transformation. Julie left her corporate career after burnout and now supports women through subconscious healing, somatic therapy, and emotional wellness. And these can have really powerful ripple effects on our skin, hormones, and self-worth. And so welcome, Julie. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Very excited.
So I would first like to talk about a little bit about your journey from corporate life to holistic healing, and what was your life like before Milliside? And was there a particular moment that kind of everything turned around?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're in this kind of world and you're going on social media and you're posting, you have to kind of keep connecting to your story. And obviously, like you can work with anyone really, but we have to niche, right? So my passion really is busy professionals and also busy business owners. And the reason for that is obviously that's what I was and that's what I am now. And it's getting that's my life, right? So that's how I can bring that expertise. But yeah, I mean, what am I now? 56. When I was 52, in the middle of the pandemic, so in August 2020, I was in a permanent role in the corporate world. I was a project manager. I'd had a pretty successful career. I probably stopped enjoying it a long time prior to that, but I felt trapped actually because I was caught in that world of I was earning quite good money. I was the main breadwinner. At this point, I'm with my new partner. So one marriage has ended, and I'm in a new one, married to Andy now, which is Andy Smith. So moving away from Fitzpatrick, which was my previous nickname. So that's been a challenge in itself, but that's all part of the letting go process as well. But yeah, in the middle of the pandemic, I found myself unemployed very unexpectedly, shall we say. But retrospectively, when I look back on it now, I think I manifested it because I kind of wanted out. And I'd done a lot of contracting roles, but at that point I was in a permanent role with 3 months notice period. And it was like, who in the right mind is going to put themselves out of work in the middle of the biggest pandemic in history?
Yeah.
Probably not. But anyway, the universe decided that it was going to intervene, right? So I was a little bit cross with the universe for a little while, but only for about 10 minutes. And then I was like, do you know what? I wanted out anyway. Thank you. You've given me an opportunity. But at that point, I knew I couldn't afford to be out of work because I did get a little bit of a payout, but nothing that was going to change my life, shall we say. And then I, I decided that I was going to change the perspective of how I was looking at it. Yes, I did need to go back to the corporate world, but I decided to shift it to say, but this is going to help me find the funds to retrain myself. So back about 15 years prior to that, I took voluntary redundancy, and it was just after I'd broken up in my first marriage and I met Andy. And then I went through at that point a breakdown that I never acknowledged until later on, like retrospectively. But at that point, I took the opportunity to leave a job that I'd been for 14 years, and I had quite a good payout in that time. And I thought, do you know what? This is where I'm going to change my life. I'm going to do a good job. And Andy at the time was a youth worker, so obviously he had much more exciting life than when we used to compare notes from the day. So at that point, I started to train to be a talking therapist. And that took 4 years. So I needed to go back to work. But interestingly, I got my first contract role. I'd gone through a bit of a breakdown. I'd lost all my confidence, which kind of ended up being a bit of a pattern. And although when I was training to be a counsellor, you're kind of learning a lot of stuff, I didn't really take it on board like I did the second time round. But I didn't really release stuff from my marriage either. So I did spend the first 3 sessions bawling my eyes out in the talking therapy room. But I was a bit annoyed that I had to go actually, because it was all part of training that you had to feel what it felt like to be a client. And I was like, oh, for goodness sake, there's nothing wrong with me. So that's what I did. I just, people like me haven't got mental health issues. People like me don't need help. And that kind of that was my pattern really.
Yeah.
So I kind of reluctantly went. And then 4 years came and went and I qualified. didn't really acknowledge it, didn't really celebrate it because it was just another tick in the box, something else that I'd done. But I carried on because you have to do placement hours. So I carried on at the charity that I was working at. So I did that while I carried on in the corporate world. But then as I started on my contracting journey, I always felt that imposter. And the first contract job I got the job by someone that I'd worked with in one of my roles. Now, common sense would have said, well, you got the job because he knows you're really good at what you do. But Julie thought, no, I just got that job because he knew me and felt sorry for me, like you do.
Yeah.
10 years I did in contracting. Every time a renewal was up, it used to drive my husband insane. He used to go, I don't think this contracting life's good for you, Julie, because it's too stressful. Because I'd always go, oh my God, they're going to find me out. I'm not going to get a renewal. And I did. I got renewals at the same place. And this went on until eventually the contract well dried up at the time. And I ended up with that permanent role. But again, a lot of this is a reflection. And some of these realizations have only sort of come to light even in the last few months, really, when I've just been reflecting even more. It's interesting though, isn't it?
It is.
And you kind of change the direction you're going in. And then 2020, when I got made redundant, and I did go and get another job, I then started my transformational journey then. So I trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, loved it because it started talking about the subconscious mind, the power of the mind. And I never really got it that much. I think when I was training to be a counsellor, maybe I wasn't in the right headspace. I kind of feel like I did a good job and I helped lots of people, but what I do now is like fundamentally different. And so I did that. And then I did NLP, Master NLP. And then I found a lady called Marissa Peer, which is rapid transformational therapy. And that took what I was doing to a whole new level because this was an introduction into hypnotherapy. And this was really it's got NLP in it anyway, but it was like NLP on steroids, really. It was kind of really, really, oh my God, it literally blew my mind. And then I carried on training with two lovely mentors of mine in the Rise and Shine Academy, and I'm still with them now, where I then carried on my personal journey of transformation and continued to learn new tools and techniques. And now technically I'm called a super conscious hypnotherapist because the amazing transformation has been that I was this woman in the corporate world who thought she could think her way out of every situation, didn't understand at all about the mind-body connection, to now almost probably 360 in how I am, how I feel, how I behave, and how I've started to find my spiritual side, which incidentally was all my dearly departed Great Dane in the background there, who died 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I've also written a book that's due to come out imminently, but it's about how he helped me in my life to help transform my clients' lives, because he decided to be my therapy dog. And then after he died, he helped me find my spiritual side. So the whole journey it's taken, what are we now, 2025? It's like 5 years from the moment it started. But oh my God, I am chalk and cheese, black and white, the transformation in me is phenomenal. And now not only do I live a completely different life, I get to transform other people's lives too.
Yeah, I can really see how all the whole transformation has shaped your purpose.
Oh,
Like it's kind of like what you do. I think it's really, yeah, I really love that. Like I would kind of like to talk about a little bit more about the mind body connection. Are there how do our emotional experiences and show up on the body? Like, do you see conditions, or how do you see that?
when I work with my clients, they will come with a presenting issue, as they will to you, right? It might be, oh, I'm really suffering from anxiety. Okay, brilliant. So then we'll start the questioning, and then we'll go, oh, okay, so it's not only anxiety then, it's this, 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 and this. Oh, and you've got lots of physical conditions as well, have you? Oh, that's interesting. And then as you sort of dig deeper, they start, oh, did I tell you that I've got this? And oh, did I tell you I'm on that, right? Because people don't understand, and I didn't either, that the mind and body is one, right? And if we don't work on ourselves internally, then we are basically running our lives on beliefs, trapped feelings, trapped emotions, maybe not even ours. Sometimes they can be our parents or they can be ancestral,
Mm.
running our lives on out of date information. So as we go through life, if we don't free ourselves from these or change them, then it becomes like a layering effect. I use the example of it being like compound interest, right? So your body just gets to a point where one day it just erupts. Now, that might be a breakdown. That might be massive illness. It could be anything, but normally it's because we don't know this information and our body's trying to send us messages, but we're not listening or understanding.
Yeah.
And that's the message I'm trying to get across to people now is that as soon as someone says to me, oh, I've got this illness, and I'm like, in my head, I'm going, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's like
I wonder what's behind that.
I do lots of gua sha treatments and help people. The technique is based on Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. The idea behind that is very similar. It's like kind of you can see from the skin and like how your face, like the coloring of the face or, wrinkles and whatever, you can see them, the inner conditions, if you will, like what is the main cause for like something that is showing on your face. And if you kind of are in balance, it is if you are emotionally in good balance, then your skin and your eyes will reflect that as a
Yeah.
kind of as a kind of the inner glow. And I think that's very it sounds to what you're doing. Do you think people or women particularly ignore the signs or like dismiss the signs that they have, that they need to reach that breaking point that you were saying before they are seeking help?
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know what's sad? And even I was talking to my husband about this only yesterday, funny enough, and I was talking about some of my people in my family, and it's like it almost becomes like a badge of honor in a way, doesn't it? About how, oh, I've got this, and then I've got this illness, and then I take all these tablets, and you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, really? Because I reckon I could help you with those. But they're not in that space that they even want to understand that
Yeah.
it's all connected. It's like, no, 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 I've had this for years and my mum had this and my so-and-so had this. It's hereditary. And I'm like, but not necessarily, because it's the hereditary comes back from the learnt hereditary behaviour or
Yeah.
the trapped emotions that you inherited at point of birth, and I do get it, because if I'm honest, if someone said that to me back in the day, I probably would have just walked away from them and thought they
Yeah.
were mad.
Yeah, I think it's not very. I think it's becoming more popular, but it's not still
Mm.
mainstream, and I think that's why people are not. They don't think about the connections of the
Yeah,
body or the
I hope it
illnesses.
is, because I hope it is. But I've asked this question to people who are kind of connected, in this kind of world, and I go, is it becoming more mainstream, or does the universe just put us in front of people, more like-minded people?
Yeah, it might be that.
It might be that, but I do think you're right, though. I'm hoping you're right, because it there are a lot more things like sound baths, isn't there, and cacao ceremonies and things like that even people I know that wouldn't have gone to something like that are starting to do that. And I kind of went on that journey, so why can't other people as well? So
Yeah.
I hope you're right, and I hope that even you doing your podcast, that this, even if one person listens to it and goes, oh, they look like two people that sound like me in the part, are
Mm.
past versions of us, of what these people
Yeah.
behind us, if you like. They'll go, oh, okay, so she was like that then. I mean, I couldn't meditate for toffee, right? My mind would just be 20 to the dozen. It would never calm down, ever. I mean, am I brilliant at it now? Probably not, but I'm way, 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 way better than I ever was. And I take time out for myself, which I never did before. Sometimes I have to really give myself a talking to get my backside out of my conservatory or wherever I'm doing my chilling out and exercising, and go, come on, you need to come and do some work. And I don't know if people are, you have like different energies, don't you? Masculine and feminine energy. And it's not about being a man or a woman either. It's about getting that balance right. And I was very masculine, very like do, diary's always full, tick off list, and got to get everything done. And then I learned that that's not necessarily the right way to be. Then I went very feminine. And
Yeah.
then I went, no, I need to bring that level up again because I'm not getting any work done. So it's like, it's getting that balance right, isn't it? That,
Yeah.
you can have the yin and the yang and still be, in fact, you can be more productive, can't you, when you've
Yeah.
got that
Yeah, definitely.
balance right?
Definitely. How about then, like subconscious healing and hormonal balance? Do you think they are kind of connected? Do
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
I do think that's all connected. And because the power of the mind, right, is phenomenal. So we can program our health in the same way we can program a sat nav, really. If you've got the right frame of mind and you're talking to yourself in the right way, then you can heal yourself and heal it. And healing, well, not just talking to yourself, but if you take that time out and do different meditations and you do like clearing your chakras and clearing your neuro pathways and having a clear out, so to speak, um, you can absolutely heal yourself. I'm a true believer of that. And I personally have healed. I've helped someone walk again. Now, don't get me wrong; they weren't paraplegic or anything. They were just they had an issue in here that stopped them. In fact, there's two people. I've helped someone to get pregnant because the power of the mind was stopping her.
Yeah.
What other physical? I've done Crohn's disease, I've done psoriasis and things like that, because
Yeah.
that's where the body's trying to tell you it needs to heal and it will weep. And that's its way of experiencing it, which is obviously more your bag. But I think everything's connected. And if you start telling yourself that you're sick and you wake up every morning and go, oh my God, I'm so sick today. I just know I'm going to get another headache. And I know that's just going to impact my well-being, or using the menopause as an excuse as well, because we can put everything down to that, can't we? And don't get me wrong, a lot of it is, but also it's an excuse not to take any action and to not make any changes, right? So we can help our hormones by eating different foods, can't we? And eating the right kind of foods. We can help our hormones by doing certain exercises, drinking plenty of water.
Yeah.
There's many things that we can do to help it. Yeah, sure, some people might need additional help depending on what's going on. But yeah, I mean, do you believe that you can?
I yeah, I think you can, because even so I do like a gratitude every morning, and I think kind of if I don't, I think like there's small things. I know it's I'm in a privileged position in many ways, but like you can change your how you view your days and your lives and your situations just by trying to change how you think about them. So I definitely agree with you.
I think the language that you tell yourself, I can change it. I can't. I can, and I love. I am amazing. It
Mm.
does, because basically, and I don't know if many people know this, but every time you have a negative thought, it sends a negative energy around your body,
Yeah.
right? So if you think negatively all day long, imagine how many negative messages are being sent around your body, in the same way that, if you're hanging out with someone and they're very negative, you can feel that energy, can't you?
Yeah, you do, and then you get negative yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
get down.
know, and sometimes you can literally go into a room, can't you, and go, I could cut that atmosphere with a knife.
Yeah.
Everyone's said that before, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, jeez, the
Yeah.
energy in this room, right?
Yeah.
But like you say, like if you've got lots of negative people together, that's why it's best to hang out with positive people or
Yeah.
like-minded people, your tribe, right? So imagine what could happen if you started changing those negative thoughts into something positive. Then straight away it changes your whole body, changes your whole surroundings around. If you imagine you've got your bubble, your energy bubble,
Yeah.
and then you start attracting nicer people, don't
Yeah,
you? And
and I
more
imagine
happy
it's
people.
affects your posture, like how you carry yourself, all
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's definitely, yeah. Like how, yeah, and that maybe brings us to the body. How does like the emotions or negative emotions and maybe even trauma, like how are they stored?
Well, I like to use the analogy of like a filing cabinet.
Mm.
And in my head, when I think of a filing cabinet, I think of those like, three big drawers,
Yeah.
typical office ones, and they pull
Uh,
out like that. So over the course of your lifetime, your filing cabinet is filling up, right? So for example, between 0 and 7 years of age, that's when we create most of our belief systems, right? But sadly, our brains are not developed enough, so we don't have logic. So when I regress people back to when, say, for example, their anxiety came about, it'll go back to when they were 2 or 4 or 5 or something like that, right? So you imagine from the moment you're born, even before you're born, sometimes you're already created, even in the womb, you can create beliefs about things or emotions about things. Or like if you're in the womb and your parent is like really, really stressed, you're already feeling that stress. So even before you're even born, you're stressed.
yeah.
So when you become born, you've already got, maybe the belief is that, there's not enough time, or, and you've already got in that, got to keep going, got to keep doing.
Mm.
And as you go through life, experiences happen and you create a physical reaction to it. So maybe this imaginary person was 5, their dad kept calling them names and they took on the belief that dad didn't love me or I'm not lovable.
Mm.
Right. And maybe that happens 2 or 3 times. And as they grow up as an adult, they can't have a relationship because every time someone gets close to them, I'll say for example, dad left,
Mm.
right? Dad left mum. As that child gets older, gets into relationships, because they don't feel lovable, they don't feel good enough, they're not going to attract the right type of person, right? So they're already in the subconscious mind. Remember, this is not deliberate. They're sending out a negative energy that says, do you know what? I'm not really good enough. I'm not lovable. So I think I'm going to attract the people that are going to treat me really badly.
Mm.
And then they'll probably have a rolling effect of maybe a narcissist husband, not, or someone that beats them or someone that's not very nice to them, because their energy subconsciously is,
Mm.
you might as well come and be horrible to me because I don't love myself anyway. So
Yeah.
how do I expect anyone else to love me? But what might have happened as well is someone who's got anxiety, for example, they might have a physical reaction. So when they're having an anxiety moment, it might be like the heart's pounding, the stomach's turning. Now that feeling may have been created when they were 3. But
Mm.
when they're 50, 60 years of age, they get this anxiety moment because their mind's only job is to protect her. So it'll go, hang on, I need to give her that feed. What for? I remember when she was 3, we gave her this feeling and that stopped her from doing what she needed to do. So it'll keep bringing out a feeling, or it might upgrade it and make it worse, or it might give you a real bad illness, but it'll all stem back to the root of when you were 3 or
Yeah.
whatever example I just used. Can't remember. And it's stuck there. So it's the feelings and emotions that we assign to an event. So they're all sitting in your filing cabinet. And every
Yeah.
now and again, that drawer just won't shut anymore. It'll keep popping open.
Mm.
And that's when a big event will happen, like breakdown or real bad stress attack, anxiety attack, real bad illness, because your body's saying, look, I've given you hints. I gave you a little headache. You ignored that. I then gave you bronchitis for a week and you ignored that. Then I gave you 2 weeks in bed because it could be that you need to slow, your body's trying to keep you safe, just slowing you down. You know what I mean? And it'll just keep layering and layering the incidences until you get to a point and you physically can't get out of bed anymore.
Yeah. I think like that makes so much sense because like I have a daughter who is 7 years old, and sometimes my interactions with her and like how I react to things, then I remember things from my own childhood, and then I'm like, my goodness, and then I try to change the ways I am behaving, so I'm not repeating the same things that necessarily weren't the best practices, because like also for parenting has changed since I've been a child in the 80s, and now that my daughter is a child in 2020s. But yeah, it makes so much sense what you're saying, and I think becoming a mother, like that started for me. It started a lot of kind of changes and like kind of learning things. I learned things about myself that I had never thought about before, or like,
And
oh,
that's
they're always
brilliant.
there, but then, yeah,
And that's great because you started to get an emotional awareness, haven't you?
yeah,
Emotional intelligence. And that means that you're breaking the cycle. And the more you do of your work
mm,
and the more you find out and grow as a person yourself, then that has that ripple effect
yeah,
onto her and to the rest of your family.
mm,
And then as she grows up, she won't have as much baggage.
hopefully.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I was having a conversation again with someone the other day, right? I mean, what makes a perfect parent, right? Because
Mm,
if you give your child too much love and don't let them do anything, then
mm,
you're not giving them, you're impacting their confidence, you're impacting their ability to go out and try things, and you're
yeah,
handing everything on a plate, right? So that you might think, well, I'm being a really good, but you're not, because you're not empowering them.
yeah.
Equally, if you don't,
Yeah, it is. It's all like, balancing everything. Yeah,
even if you've got a small child and they want to climb a tree, the current version of a parent would be health and safety mad, wouldn't it? Oh no, don't climb that tree. But that's how kids have adventure, isn't it? And how they learn that actually I need to be careful by myself.
yeah,
One of my business coaches, actually, he's Australian, and he tells us that he's very proud of this. That I think he's in Melbourne, but quite near the outback as well. He said, when I take my children out, we go in the outback. We don't even wear shoes, right? And then he said, if they see a snake, they go, "Oh, Daddy, look! I wonder what snake," and they just look at it. Whereas no way
amazing.
would I go barefoot anywhere. And secondly, if I saw a snake right by my feet, you'd
I
go
would
into
go the
panic
other way.
mode, wouldn't you? But that's the difference, isn't it? He's teaching his children that this is nature. We're in their territory.
Yeah,
Yes, we need to be careful, but as long as we're careful and we know what we're doing, then we'll be okay.
yeah,
And he's trying to put them so that they're not in a constant fight flight situation. And that is a problem with the day and age now, isn't it? We're always in that heightened state. And that's why our bodies are reacting so badly now, I think, with all these psychological, physical conditions,
yeah,
is because we're always in that stressed state.
yeah. Are there like, do you have any like go-to practices that you would share, like to kind of calm the nervous system, as we are quite often in, the thick of stress, and we feel stressed, we're kind of panicky, the to-do list is endless, we can't rest or relax. And is there anything, a kind of like, small daily things that we could do, to help out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I work with my clients, I do teach them quite a lot of what, somatic tools and different breathing techniques and stuff like that. But my favorite is coherent breathing, which is it's quite straightforward. It's about breathing in, obviously, from your diaphragm,
Mm-hmm.
but breathing and out for the count of 6. But it's all through your nose. It's keeping the mouth closed and doing that. Now, one of the reasons I like this one is because it's scientifically backed. Who doesn't like something that's proven, right? So apparently, if you introduce coherent breathing for at least 20 minutes a day for 6 months, not necessarily all in one go, and it becomes more of your normal way of breathing,
Mm-hmm.
then that can increase your life expectancy by 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's just by breathing. Do I do it all the time? No, no. And when I'm talking about it like this, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I do have it on an app, actually. And then when it
Mhm.
goes off, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. The breathing app's gone off. But 6-6 breathing is really, really good. And any kind of form of breathing is, because it changes the physiology of your body.
Yeah.
So as soon as you kind of like breathe in for the count of 6, out for the count of 6, do that 3 or 4 times, you'll
Mm.
instantly feel calm, because
Mm.
it's sending a message to your brain to say you're safe, you're secure. So if you're in that anxiety moment, or you need to go even for a job interview or a meeting, or you're just going to open up a Zoom call or whatever it is, just before you get on, change your state. And by change of state, we mean stop what you're doing and breathe in and out for 6. Do that 3 or 4 times, and then you just will feel calmer. You'll have more focus because you're calming your mind down, right? And
Yeah.
that's when you go into a situation and you haven't done that,
Mm.
your conscious mind can't deal with it, can it? And it's like, oh, I can't remember. Like if you're going into an exam or something and you spend all, I mean, if you haven't studied, then the chances are this is not going to help you. But if you have studied and you know it's in there somewhere, but you just can't find it, calm it down, really calm it down and just breathe and then let it just come. And the more you try, the harder it will be. You know, like if you've lost your keys or something, right, and you're hunting around the house, getting in the right panic, as soon as you stop worrying about where you put them, I know where they are,
Yeah.
because
So,
because it's in your subconscious somewhere. You just need to give it time.
yeah.
And by calming the nervous system down, it enables you to tap in. And that's why hypnosis is so powerful.
So, and what if someone is stuck in anxiety or maybe burnout? Where should they begin?
Well, contact me, of course. Obviously. I think the first part really is acknowledgement, isn't it? That let's just acknowledge that actually you have got, for want of a better phrase, an issue going on here. Because most people don't even do that because it just becomes a normal way of life, doesn't
Yeah.
it? You know, you wake up in the morning, you haven't really slept much, especially, you know, us menopausal women, because you're in bed, hormones are going all over the place, you're hot, but it's the overthinking, I think, is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And to shut the monkey mind down can be really, really difficult. So, of course, you wake up in the morning exhausted because that's another night's sleep that you haven't had.
Yeah.
Then the negative behaviour comes into play. Oh, I mean, I've done this. My husband's pulled me up on it. So, oh, it's another night I didn't sleep. I'm going to be so tired today. Well, I will be tired, won't I? Because I've just told myself I'm going to be tired, right? And then you go into, well, I can't be bothered to go to the gym or do my exercise because I'm
Mm.
too tired. And I can't be bothered to do a nice breakfast because I just haven't got time because everything's all about too busy being busy. And then maybe you get the kids up or they're all running riot and they're feeding off your stress
Mm.
and they're not doing what you want them to do. So the whole house is just in this ready to explode mode. Get them off to school, go to work, whatever it is you're going to do. Maybe you haven't had time to do any meal prep. So you come home and everyone's just eating a load of crap out the fridge. No one wants their dinner because they're full up on chocolate and crisps.
Mm.
And then that causes a whole other stress mode. Eventually you get everyone to bed and you're still really stressed. So what do? I'm going to
Mm.
crack open that bottle of wine, or let me go and lose myself for hours on social media.
Mm.
I mean, that's fine
Yeah.
as long as they're looking at mine, obviously, but the rest of it, don't bother. You know, and that's what we do. We go into escapism.
Mm.
So when we don't address our feelings and our emotions, so sometimes we either suppress them or we repress them, or we go into escapism, and then that's when we start getting the physical, psychological conditions
Yeah.
because we're doing things that are not healthy for us.
Do you offer any free resources for people who would be interested in learning more about what you do or how you help people?
Yep. So I have two really. One is an obvious one in the sense that I have a free 45-minute what I call clarity coaching call where we can just sit down and have a look at what's going on for you. I can explain how I work, which is not talking therapy. It's completely different. It's really fast. It's tapping into the root cause, and you know we can do a lot in just one what I call deep dive session. But I also have a free calming audio that I like to give people. I need to check, but I think it's about 15, 20 minutes long, and I'll probably need to create a shorter one as well. But it just gives you an opportunity to take that time out for yourself, whether you're listening to it when you go to bed or if you want to just take some time out, dedicate some time just to listening to the audio, just so you can start feeling the difference in what it would be like just to feel calm and relax. So I'd obviously love to offer your audience either of those or both options.
I will link everything in the show notes so people can connect with you. And so where can, if anyone wants to work with you directly, how do they find you the best? What's the best way to find you?
Well, most things are under Milliside, which is Millieside, which doesn't roll off the tongue very well. If I was doing it again, probably give myself a different name. So my website is Milliside. All my socials are Milliside, apart from Instagram, which is Julie Milliside.
Hmm.
But yeah, just look up Milliside, Millieside. There's a little bit of history around that name, but that's why I've got it. So yeah, love to hear from you. Yeah, I can help with psychological or physical conditions, but the point being it's very fast and it gets to the root cause. No more just talking about it. And a lot of my clients actually come to me because they've had a lot of talking therapy and it just hasn't quite got to the root of it.
Yeah.
And talking therapy is amazing and I've trained in it and I know I help people, but sometimes you just need something different.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Julie, so much for sharing all your insights today and your story, all the tools and message. I think it's very needed in today's world, what you're doing. And so for anyone listening or watching who is ready to reconnect with their body, mind, all of that, I really encourage you to check out Julie's free tools and her work. And I will link everything on the show notes for you to find them easily. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.